The whole deal was killed. And then the then Minister of Agriculture said, oh, we have fertilizer from across the border. Say, but why did they kill that of Ukraine? Putting our former ambassador in great embarrassment. In fact, they called him to threaten him. That if you see why the president cannot take any drastic action against them, is because they have marabouts in Mali.
He stressed the recommendations of the Commission be implemented to the letter, while giving the Justice Minister an ultimatum to have in place before April the 19th a permanent anti-graft agency for the fight against corruption.
Because it is long overdue. Now I think Gambians would understand why I dismiss people so frequently and put them before the courts. Before I used to dismiss people, let them go. Then they start setting up business and turn the government. Instead of saying thank you, they turn the government. The issue of the fertilizer, I'm very cautious with regards to fertilizer. And that is why I always want to make sure that fertilizer is procured from the producer, not from any third party. Why? There are a lot of dangers in buying fertilizer from these hawkers or fly-by-night dealers with regards to fertilizer and also with regards to vaccinations. I am very, very careful. I will not allow any immunization to take place if the vaccine has not been verified by 3 laboratories that are friendly to the Gambia.
Speaking earlier, the Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Seydi, said the setting of the Commission is a demonstration of the commitment government has in the promotion of independent opinion and judgment on issues affecting society. The composition of the Commission has in itself put across a language to be appreciated for its uniqueness and diversity. Its members are groups in their own right, respected for what they do. Abdunjai, GRTS.
Highlights of that program will air on GRTS immediately after the 10 p.m. news bulletin. Musician Modou Lamin Ba, alias Egalitarian, has received a gift of $500,000 from the president. The money was handed over to the musician, who dedicated a song titled Dinkendo to President Jammeh by the Vice President and Women's Affairs Minister. In a separate development, Madam Jai Seydi later presided over the presentation of a check for $1 million earmarked for the farming community made available by the National Disaster Management Agency. Mama Jai has more on both programs.
Modou Lamin Ba, alias Egalitarian, said he was inspired by President Jammeh's development initiatives in the country, especially in the music industry, hence the release of the album Dinkendo in appreciation of Professor Jammeh's hard work.
My purpose of being here today is, I think it all comes through music and with somebody who's an inspiration to my career. Someone who has really made me proud of being Gambian and being African, because I've traveled to so many countries in Africa and in Europe. But people come to me, they come to me not because I'm egalitarian, because they come to me because of President Jammeh.
The Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, Fatou Lamin Faye, commended the young artist for dedicating such a wonderful song for the Gambian leader. She noted that President Jammeh has not only created the enabling environment for Gambian youths, but has also created a platform for the country's young people to step on for higher heights.
But I just want to enjoin you to work harder and let this not be the last cassette that you release. Work hard and make sure that this is used as seed money for greater things to happen.
For the Minister of the Interior, Sheriff Gomez, President Jammeh has always touched the hearts of young people with this kind of gesture. He urged the youth to make best use of the opportunities accorded to them.
And you are not good unless and until you are being compared with the best in the sub-region, with the best in the continent, with the best in the world. So that's a great challenge. It is easy for me and you to say, oh, it's good, and we clap. But that is just here. And whether we know music or not, It is only the musician or those who listen to a good cassette who will tell you, yes, this is very good. So I think that's the challenge here.
Presenting a cash amount of $500,000 to the beneficiary artists on behalf of President Jammeh, the Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Dr. Aja Aissatou Saidi, believed that Gambia has regained its lost glory in the music scene in the Second Republic, thanks to President Jammeh's intervention. She recounted the numerous donations by Professor Jammeh meant to improve the sector.
We need music to make a difference. You don't just walk throughout. All work and no play, you know what it means. So I don't have to tell. So that's the beauty. Therefore you have a role in society. You sell your country if you do well, of course, if you produce quality music. And it's appreciated beyond the confines of the Gambia. You inspire the youth as well, because whoever wants to be a musician, once they see a successful one, they all want to be in your shoes as well. So that is the challenge you have. That's the challenge that has been posed by His Excellency the President.
The Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Fatim Baji, thanked Egalitarian for dedicating 30% of the proceeds of his music to the Operation Save a Baby initiative and the SOS Orphanage. According to the young artist, the album Dinkendo, which will be launched on April the 4th, will also donate 30% of the proceeds to the same cause. In another development, the coordinating body responsible for humanitarian assistance and disaster risk reduction in the country, the National Disaster Management Agency, also donated a check amounting to $1 million to the Gambian farmers in response to an appeal launched by the government of the Gambia to assist in the country's severe crop failure.
I'm pleased to inform Council that the needs assessment is very much on the way, and currently a technical mission is on the ground to ensure that data that is collected is evidence-based, so that it's going to facilitate analysis at the central level.
The Minister of Agriculture, Solomon Owens, described the gesture as timely and befitting.
We know in the next few months we'll be working very closely with the NDMA, trying to meet the needs of this desperate parts of the population. As you know, food consumption is already declining from empirical evidence. Coping strategies are being employed by the farmers and by the rural population especially. And you know as well as I do that some of these coping strategies and coping mechanisms are not usually very favorable.
The Minister of Forestry and the Environment, who also doubles as the Vice Chairperson of the Disaster Governing Council, Fatou Gay, thanked the NDMA and assured that the money will be put to good use. The Minister of Fisheries, Water Resources and National Assembly Matters, Abdul Koli, said that the donation will go a long way in replenishing the fund that has been established by President Jammeh towards the victims of the food shortage. The donation by the NDMA came barely a day after the former President Alhaji Sadauda Kairaba Jawara also made similar gesture towards the national call. Mama J, GRTS.
The body of the late Famara Landing Jatta was this evening laid in state at the National Assembly. The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Her Excellency Dr. Aissatou Saidi, Cabinet Ministers and Chief Justice, former National Assembly members, diplomats, religious leaders and other members of the public paying their last respects to the former finance minister and one-time governor of the central bank filed past his flag-draped coffin. Jatta's remains were after laid to rest at the Banjulinding Cemetery after the usual prayers. We hope to bring you more on that in the news at 10. The Ministry of the Interior on Tuesday formally inaugurated the visiting committees of the Gambia Prison Service. Fatou Jassi was there and she reports the committees have the additional responsibility of advising prisons officials on the welfare of inmates and conditions.
The visiting committees for the country's 3 prisons, namely Mile 2, Old Joswang and Janjambure prisons, is a step taken by the Ministry of Interior to critically look into the welfare of prisoners and their environment.
It's really to advise the prison authorities with regards to the welfare and conditions of prisoners in the various prisons. I must say that the existence of the prisons committees has always been there, since time immemorial, especially